Don't turn off this video, please, for all you young pilots out there. I'm going to give you some advice today how to stay alive and not get violated and also keep your job. I'm just going over this accident that happened about a year ago to a young woman that got killed when she crashed into a potato factory and hit a tower. So I'm going to be going over that with you today and giving you some tips. And after this video, you can go out and do this. So this is a video to stay with me on this one, and I don't care about monetization or anything like that. I don't want any money. I just want you to stay alive and not get hurt and keep your job. So we're going to be going over this accident regarding this Cessna Caravan that crashed in Idaho into a potato factory about a year ago now. And time tells everything. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to be putting up a sheet on the internet on your screen here so you can see some of the tricks that I'm going to help you with to get into an airport, especially that place where that lady got killed, regarding a tower that was on final. Well, just between you and me, that tower shouldn't have been there, and I've never seen that ever in my life before, having a tower at 60 feet, 1/4 mile final. That was just unbelievable. But let's just leave the politics aside. All right, let's talk about you, the young pilot out there, and we're going to show you how to come in and do this approach at, say, runway 20 in that Idaho airport, or any airport that you go into every day. And when the weather gets crappy, you can get in there without getting killed, and you're not going to get violated either. That's the one thing I'm going to promise you, because I got a way out for you. So now that I got this sheet up on the screen here, we're going to start at the middle of the sheet where it says smokestack at the top, and this is where the Caravan crashed into it a year ago, and I believe it was 60 feet tall, the stack, and it was kicking out smoke. And we're just going to go through what happened here. Was the lady that was flying the airplane, she went out to that airport the day before and conducted a full approach, and then did a missed approach and went on to her alternate. Good job. So that proves to me that she's a good pilot, even though she's a woman, and even though that she's pretty. That tells me right away she was doing everything properly. But what happened here, and we're getting into general aviation culture here, is that when you keep missing approaches, and you're costing the company gas, and people aren't getting their cargo, they're going to be putting pressure on you. And that would be the chief pilot of that company and the operations manager. My hunch is they told her the night before, if you don't get in tomorrow, you're basically terminated. And it's called termination without cause. Without cause. So now we know why that lady went below MDA and crashed into the towers. She didn't do it the day before, she did it the next day. Alright? And if you listen to the radio chit chat with her and ATC, you could tell she was nervous through the whole time there. So what I'm going to do now is basically show you how to break minimums, break regulations, and get away with it, and then look like a hot shot. I'm an ex-bush pilot from Canada. I'm 50 years old. I broke the law every day, and I never had a violation, and I'm still here now. So if it works for me, it'll work for you. And yeah, what you're going to be doing is 150% illegal. But just because you're legal does not make you safe. And that's what happened to this lady here. She was trying to fly by the approach plate, and she got into a situation where she needed to get in or she was going to get canned. Plain and simple. I'm telling you that right now. I know it sounds horrible. So, now looking at this sheet that I have here, if you're going into any airport, like that Idaho airport that she was going, Burley I think it was called, you need to study that airport when you know that you're going to be going in there every day. So you're not going to use this method on unfamiliar airports. You're going to use this method that I'm going to teach you on airports that you do your sked run in every day. And you're going to learn all the little cracks and how to get in there without having an issue. So this little template that I put together here, I'm just using AGL altitudes, and once again you can use this anywhere, but I'm just kind of using the scenario that happened in Idaho where that lady ended up on top of the potato factory. So what you're going to do is you're going to come in and you're going to shoot the approach normal as you usually do, which is a non-precision approach down to 400 AGL. That's usually what a non-precision approach gives you, 400 AGL. But what you're going to do is you're going to use your Microsoft simulator first, and then on a good day, nice and sunny, you're going to practice this method that I teach you. So when the weather becomes crappy, say in a week or so from now, you'll have confidence to go below minimums, break all the rules, and land and look like a hot shot. And you're not going to get violated, because I got a way out for you on that one in case someone rats you out. So what happened with her is she did an approach in, she couldn't do it, and then she went back around again, and then she got too low and then hit the tower. Her problem was she didn't know where the tower was while she was conducting that approach. So what you're going to do now is you're going to put into the GPS, or basically understand where that tower is on final. And if you see the sheet here, I got it set up for 0.5 nautical miles. All airports take their lat and long from the center of the runway. So if you take a look there, I got runway 4,000 feet long. In the middle I got 0 nautical miles. And on one end it's 0.2, and on the other end it's 0.2 as well. And then just before the runway that she landed on, I put the tower at 0.5. Alright? So what you're going to do is you're going to come in and shoot the approach like normally. But once you get, like, say, a 3-mile final, you're going to drop down to your 400 AGL, and then you're going to proceed down to 200 feet and break minimums. And once you break minimums at 200 feet, you're going to maintain your altitude until your GPS rings out 0.5. That means you cleared anything that's going to kill you. Once you see 0.5, then you can sneak down to 150 feet, and then you'll land on that runway perfect every time. Yes, it's illegal, but that's what's going to keep you safe, and that's what's going to get you not fired. I really do believe that the chief pilot and the operations manager talked to her that night and said, tomorrow you're going back out again, and if you don't get in, we're going to let you go. That's just the nature of general aviation, guys. We all talk about being safe and flying by the rules, but when it comes to money, all that goes out the window. So that means you need to adapt. You got to adapt like the Borg. Right? You got to figure out that the laws aren't working, the rules aren't working, and you got to make up your own approaches. I'm currently 50 years old. I'm a Canadian bush pilot, and for the record, I broke the law every goddamn day when I was a bush pilot. And if I didn't break the law, I wouldn't be here now having this conversation with you. So I feel that I know what I'm talking about. And when you take a look at this profile here, you can see the logic behind this. So what you're going to do is you're going to fly your approach into your airport with your simulator first, and then make sure it all works. And then when the weather's good, you're going to practice this to make sure it works perfectly. Then when the weather gets crappy, you can execute this illegal approach with no problem, with confidence. She was just basically coming down and then being a quarter mile away and then hitting that tower. But if you know where the tower is and you aim for it, you'll never hit it, because you know it's 0.5 and you also know it's 60 feet. So once again, come down, do your minimums, MDA, 3 miles out, and then once you hit that 3 miles out, you drop down to 200 feet because you know the tower is only 60 feet, and you're going to maintain 200 feet until you get 0.5 over that tower. Once you see that 0.5, now you know there's nothing ahead of you there. It's just a bunch of water at that Burley, and you can come down to 150 feet. That means you're going to be 50 feet lower than a published ILS, and you will get in every time and keep your job. Plain and simple. And you can see this now, how I got this set up. The only reason why she died is because she didn't know where the tower was. So, when you're a young pilot and you're going to the same airport all the time, take a look around your surroundings, fly your approach, and then find out if you can sneak in. Because these approaches are only made for generalization. People that are not familiar with the airport, they fly the approach, they can get in. But once you go in there every day, you can say, hey, wait a minute, 400 feet is way too high. I can sneak down to 200 feet as long as I hold that 200 feet until I get to that tower. And once I hit that tower, there's nothing after it. I can come down now to 150 feet and then go in and land. And remember, your altimeters are plus or minus 50 feet. And use your radar if you're flying a Caravan. Cross-check your barrels and then also check your rad out, make sure everything jives. And once again, practice on your simulator first at home, then practice these approaches in perfect VFR weather and get comfortable with it. And when the weather goes down, you can do it with total confidence. All right, now let's talk about violations. Well, be a good liar. Always lie, 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 lie. Never use a lawyer in case they want to take you to court, because your lawyer's never on your side. They're going to want you to admit some sort of guilt. Well, how do you explain that you broke minimums and got into the airport? Simple. When you went down to MDA at 400 feet, you lost your engine and lost old power. Then you came down to 200 feet and saw the runway and landed. Once you landed and you were safe, you basically started up the engine again and taxied in. But you don't know why the engine quit on final. And that's it. And they can't prove nothing. They can rip out the engine and send it to Pratt & Whitney and it'll come back all good. But as long as you lie and you never saw this video, they can't prove nothing. The only way they can nail you is you admitted that you went down to MDA. And now they can never prove that the engine quit, because engines quit all the time and they don't know why. And it's as simple as that. So lie, 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 break the minimums, come down, know your airport, practice on your simulator, practice during the day, and you'll keep your job. And that's why that woman got killed, because she was doing a missed approach. She was flying it perfectly legal. She was a good pilot, and I stand behind her all the way, but she was losing revenue, plain and simple. Rules, regulations, safety go out the window when it comes to dollars. Is that something new? No. So there you go. And once again, you never saw this video, and I don't want a thumbs up, and I don't care about monetization. I just want to keep you safe. And if the FAA and the companies all want to pretend that they're safe, and then they fire pilots, and then they lose their jobs, or a pilot gets killed, well, it's pilot error, and dead men don't talk. Plain and simple. And taking a look at that Burley Airport, in all my years of flying, I've never seen something so weird like that, putting a smokestack 1/4 mile off the threshold and having a big plume of fog in front of the pilot while he's trying to land. Let's just say there's some funny business going on there allowing that tower to come in, but I don't want to go there right now. It's not important. You got to work around what the world's all about. But you can see by this documentation that I put up on the screen here for you, you can cheat, you can break all the minimums and get down there and land perfectly every time. And if they ever try to violate you, you just simply say the engine quit at MDA and you were having an engine failure and you landed. And then when you landed, you simply started it up and taxied in. But you don't know why, because you're not a mechanic, you're just a pilot. And let them rip the engine out and send it to Pratt & Whitney and it'll all come back good. Oh, must be a gremlin. And that's pretty much it. Alright, so pretty straightforward. But you can see how young pilots get themselves in trouble thinking that the world is all legitimate when it's not. When it comes to money, it trumps everything. So, if they can break the rules and the laws, so can you. And remember, never use a lawyer and always lie, because they can never prove that the engine quit, because that's just the way it is. Alright, so anyways, stay tuned for my next video, and fly safe, and remember, never let regulation get in the way of aviation. And that's my word for you of the day. And I'm a Canadian bush pilot, proud of it, and I'm still alive, and I'm 50 years old. And I used to fly off mountains and everything and set up my own approaches with a Walmart GPS. That's right, I used to create my own approaches going into lakes and rivers and just using a hunter's fisherman's GPS. As long as you know where it all is during the day and you practice it several times, when the weather gets bad, it's a piece of cake. It's a cakewalk. Once again, you never saw this video. And if you ever see me at the bar one day, shake my hand and give me a few beers. Anyways, take care and always fly safe and never admit to anything. So long.